The most intense clashes in golf history. Do you think golf is a gentleman's sport, full of calm, smiles, and mutual respect? Because when the pressure skyrockets, millions are on the line, and egos collide, manners stay in the locker room. What you're about to see are not memorable shots or historic putts. No. Here, we're talking about killer looks, cutting words, and confrontations that made history, from edge-of-the-green tensions to personal wars that brewed off the course at gala dinners, press conferences, or even on the practice range. This isn't a tournament. This is a collection of legendary duels, unexpected betrayals, and rivalries that shook the quietest sport in the world. Get ready, because what's coming won't appear in any official highlights. This is the most intense, most personal, and most human side of professional golf. Let's begin. Michelle Vie versus Annika Sorenstam. A bomb about to explode. Michelle Vie was the future of women's golf, young, talented, and with a brilliant career ahead of her. Everyone was talking about her. While chasing her LPGA dreams, she was also studying at Stanford. But not everyone looked kindly on her double commitment. Annika Sorenstam, a living legend and one of the most feared competitors on tour, wasn't impressed. For Annika, that lack of total dedication was almost an insult to the sport. The tension was in the air, and something was about to happen. Then came the 2007 Gin Tribute Tournament, organized by none other than Sorenstam herself. Michelle was struggling. Just 5 strokes away from triggering the dreaded Rule of 88, an LPGA rule that would have sidelined her for a year, she decided to withdraw, citing a wrist injury. But what seemed like a reasonable withdrawal due to physical issues turned into fuel for the fire. Barely 2 days later, Michelle was back on the same course, practicing for the LPGA Championship. Annika's reaction didn't take long. For Sorenstam, it was a sign of disrespect not just toward the tournament, not just toward her, but toward golf itself. A silent rivalry had just become personal. But the injury wasn't the only thing under strain. It's true, Michelle had been dealing with wrist problems throughout that season, so her withdrawal initially made sense at first. But only 48 hours later, she showed up practicing on that same course, preparing for the LPGA Championship. And that's when everything exploded. The golf community quickly began to murmur, and Annika, for many, it was the last straw. That week, it wasn't just Michelle's wrist that was hurting. Her patience with Annika had reached its limit too. Rory McIlroy versus Patrick Reed. A rivalry without restraint. Picture this. Sunday singles at the 2016 Ryder Cup. The stands are roaring. The atmosphere is electric. And at the center of the storm, Rory McIlroy versus Patrick Reed. 2 titans, face to face, in one of the most intense duels ever witnessed. Reed fed off the crowd with his fierce intensity. Rory responded with birdies, defiant celebrations, and shushing gestures toward the spectators. Neither of them was willing to give up an inch. The problem? It didn't end there. In 2023, the rivalry was still very much alive. This time, the stage was Dubai. Reed, now part of the controversial LIV Golf, approached Rory on the practice range to greet him. But McIlroy didn't even look up. He completely ignored him. Feeling the cold shoulder, Reed replied with an apparently harmless gesture. He tossed a tee toward Rory's feet, a tiny move that sparked a massive scandal. The media quickly dubbed it Teagate. When reporters asked Rory about it, he didn't hold back. He said that if he had done the same thing, he'd probably have been sued. A clear reference to the legal battle between them. Because yes, Reed had actually served McIlroy with a lawsuit. On Christmas Eve, Reed fired back by calling Rory childish. And just like that, what started as a sporting rivalry turned into a personal feud with the flair of a legal soap opera. That wasn't just a gesture, it was a symbol. The media called it Teagate. And the controversy only grew. When journalists approached Rory, he was blunt. "If I had done that, I'd be getting sued." The line hit like a missile. Because yes, Reed had indeed sent him a legal subpoena on Christmas Eve. A legal joke no one in the golf world would ever forget. Reed, far from cooling down, fired back by calling Rory childish. And with that, the tension rose to a whole new level. What had once been a sporting rivalry became a showdown between two grown men behaving like kids with millions watching. Tiger Woods versus Sergio García. The war that never ended. This isn't just a rivalry. It's a decades-long battle. A story of two completely opposite personalities clashing both on and off the course. On one side, Tiger Woods, reserved, calculated, a silent assassin with a club in hand. On the other, Sergio García, passionate, expressive, and never afraid to speak his mind even when it got him into trouble. The first spark came at the 1999 PGA Championship. A young, confident Sergio tried to challenge the great Tiger with a blind shot from behind a tree, then sprinted down the fairway to see where the ball had landed. But Tiger didn't flinch. Cold, unbothered, he won the tournament and left Sergio eating dust. It was only the beginning. A rivalry that crossed the line. That 1999 duel was just the prologue. The tension between Tiger and Sergio kept building over the years until it exploded in 2013. During a gala dinner, Sergio made a comment so out of line that it stunned the golf world. He joked that he would serve fried chicken if Tiger came to dinner. A remark that, for many, carried racist undertones and crossed every possible line. It was no longer about golf. It was personal. And the resentment was palpable. Over the years, every time they crossed paths on the course, the atmosphere could be cut with a wedge. Sergio had his moments, sure, but Tiger, and that only poured more salt into the wound. Both tried to appear cordial. Forced smiles, carefully measured words, but between them, the ice never broke. And although both reached the very top of the golfing world, they never truly found a truce. Even today, it's hard to imagine them ever genuinely shaking hands. Michelle Vie versus Stacey Lewis. When style becomes a battlefield. We move to the 2014 Women's British Open. Two great figures at the top, Michelle Wie and Stacey Lewis. But with styles as different as night and day. Michelle was known for her massive drives and her unique way of approaching the green. Her putting style, nicknamed the tabletop, involved bending almost horizontally over the ball. It looked strange, yes, but it worked. And that was something Stacey Lewis didn't like at all. When style becomes a declaration of war. Michelle didn't just play differently. She played her way. Her unusual stance, almost parallel to the ground when putting, caught everyone's eye, but it delivered results. It was part of her identity on the course. And then there was Stacey Lewis, world number one, a traditionalist, demanding, a staunch defender of classic golf. And what she saw in Michelle didn't sit right with her. During that British Open, Stacey didn't hold back. She openly criticized Wie's style, calling it unnecessary and, in her words, disrespectful to the other players. Coming from someone with such authority on the tour made it even more impactful. Though she stopped short of accusing Michelle of breaking any rules, the message was crystal clear. She didn't see Michelle's way of playing as legitimate. But Michelle, far from backing down, stayed calm. She ignored the comments, kept her style, and continued competing as if nothing had happened, while the atmosphere around her grew increasingly tense. Reed and Spieth, from soulmates to enemies on the green, they were unstoppable. Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth formed one of the most feared duos in world golf. They proved it at the 2014 Ryder Cup and again in 2016. Synchronized energy, explosive celebrations, and incredible chemistry on the course. But beneath the surface, cracks were already beginning to show. They clashed on everything. Spieth was calm, methodical, discreet. Reed, on the other hand, was impulsive, direct, and never hesitated to say what he thought, even if it set the locker room on fire. In 2018, during the Ryder Cup in Paris, the bomb finally exploded. This time, Reed and Spieth weren't paired together, and Patrick lost it. In a scathing interview with the New York Times, Reed got straight to the point. He accused Spieth of refusing to play with him. He made it clear he didn't care whether they got along or not, all he cared about was winning. But the damage was done. It was a public betrayal in every sense. Spieth, true to his nature, stayed silent. But his expression said more than 1,000 words. What had once been an unstoppable partnership had turned into a sporting divorce broadcast to the entire world. And Reed, feeling stabbed in the back, didn't hold back. Meanwhile, Spieth, the one who always avoided drama, suddenly found himself in the middle of one of the biggest camaraderie scandals in modern golf. A brutal lesson. In this sport, you don't have to be friends to play together. But when friendship breaks, you can feel the heat all the way into the rough. Mickelson versus Singh. When pressure turns personal. We traveled to the 2005 Masters at Augusta. The setting, sacred. The tension, sky high. And at the center of the duel, two giants at the peak of their careers, Phil Mickelson and Vijay Singh. They were competing neck and neck. But what no one could see was that behind those perfect shots, a fierce confrontation was brewing. From the green to the fists. A locker room showdown. Away from the cameras, the atmosphere between Mickelson and Singh was explosive. Vijay, a perfectionist to the extreme and obsessed with every detail, couldn't tolerate anything that might disrupt the game. And that year, something pushed him over the edge. Phil's new metal spikes. Mickelson had chosen 8mm spikes, which according to Singh, were leaving marks all over the green. A tiny detail, yes, but at Augusta, during the Masters, it was almost a sacrilege. Vijay didn't let it slide. He complained, and not quietly. He talked about it with other players, spread the story to anyone who would listen. And, of course, it reached Phil's ears. His reaction? Exactly what you'd expect from him. Instead of ignoring it, Phil went straight after Singh. He confronted him and challenged him to settle it outside the locker room. That's right, two golf legends. On the verge of throwing punches over a pair of metal spikes. The tension in that locker room was thicker than the Georgia humidity. Over the years, they managed to maintain their composure publicly. But between them, everyone knows the truth. There are scars that neither time nor tournaments can erase. Sometimes in golf, even the smallest spikes can leave the deepest marks. Tiger Woods versus Stephen Ames. When words bury you, Stephen Ames was never one to keep quiet. And when it came to voicing his opinion about Tiger Woods, he didn't hold back. He called him spoiled, implied he didn't respect his rivals, and said his ego was bigger than the game itself. Those were big words, especially coming from someone talking about the man who was redefining the sport. Then came 2006, the World Match Play Championship. Fate or karma decided that Ames and Woods would face each other head-to-head in a direct duel. Tiger didn't respond with words. He didn't need to. That day, he delivered one of the most brutal beatdowns ever seen in professional golf. To give you an idea, Tiger won with almost half the course left unplayed. It was a historic humiliation, a silent response, but a devastating one. And Tiger, of course, savored it calmly in his own way. The lesson is clear. If you're going to talk trash about Tiger Woods, you'd better bring a big fork, because you'll be eating your words with a massive serving of humility. Keegan Bradley versus Miguel Ángel Jiménez. Clash on the green. 18th hole at TPC Harding Park. The air is already tense. Keegan Bradley, known for his fiery temper, is finishing a long, intense match. And suddenly, Miguel Ángel Jiménez appears. The charismatic Spanish player, with his relaxed demeanor and unmistakable ponytail, walks over with a suggestion. Keegan is about to drop his ball, and Jiménez, a veteran, with thousands of holes behind him, decides to intervene. You should take 2 club lengths, not 1. But here's the problem. No one had asked him for advice. And Keegan didn't take it well. Within seconds, the tension skyrocketed. Bradley's caddy, Steve Hale, immediately jumped in to stop Jiménez. But the Spaniard didn't back down. He stood firm. What was supposed to be a simple rules clarification turned into a face-to-face confrontation. Keegan didn't hold back either. He stepped right up to Jiménez, nose to nose, defending his caddy with all the intensity of the moment. It all happened in plain view, right in the middle of the fairway, with cameras capturing every second. Later, Bradley admitted it was a heat-of-the-moment reaction, but he made one thing very clear. He will always stand up for his team. Jiménez, for his part, didn't apologize. On the contrary, he insisted he was merely enforcing the rules, just as any veteran of the tour would. Brooks Koepka versus Bryson DeChambeau. A rivalry of madness. If golf rivalries were a TV series, this would be the final episode. The saga of Brooks Koepka versus Bryson DeChambeau has it all. Opposite personalities, massive egos, and drama that escalated to unimaginable levels. Brooks is direct, blunt, and doesn't waste time. His game is sharp, and his words even sharper. Bryson, on the other hand, is golf's mad scientist. He analyzes every shot as if he were defusing a bomb and takes all the time in the world on the course. The conflict erupted in 2019. Total frustration. Brooks, tired of slow play, publicly criticized those who take forever on every shot. He didn't name names, but everyone knew exactly who he meant. Bryson. And Bryson didn't stay quiet. He defended his methodical approach, and the fire spread. After bulking up, Bryson joked on Twitch about Brooks's abs, implying they weren't as impressive as they looked in the ESPN Body Issue magazine. Brooks fired back with a killer photo not of his body, but of his 2 U.S. Open trophies. A silent response, but a brutal one. And the best was yet to come. In 2021, during an interview at the PGA Championship, Brooks was caught on camera, rolling his eyes and sighing in frustration as Bryson walked by. The clip went viral. Memes flooded the internet. The message was clear. Bryson's mere presence was enough to drive Brooks crazy. But it didn't stop there. At the Memorial Tournament, some fans began chanting, "Let's go Brooksy," taunting Bryson. Fed up, he asked that they be removed from the course. And what did Brooks do? He posted a video thanking the expelled fans and promised them free beer. The feud spiraled out of control. Both eventually joined LIV Golf. And when no one expected it, the unthinkable happened. They teamed up. Brooks and Bryson, once public enemies, united to take on Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler in a high-voltage televised match in Las Vegas. An alliance as surprising as it was explosive, because in golf, even the greatest rivals can end up playing on the same side. What began as a war of egos ended as an alliance of titans. And so we wrap up this journey through the most intense confrontations the golf world has ever seen. Behind every shot lie stories of pride, rivalry, respect, and sometimes the complete opposite. Because in golf, just like in life, not everything is decided on the green sometimes. The real game happens off the course. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with other golf fans, and tell us in the comments which of these moments was your favorite, or which one you think we missed. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. More stories, more excitement, and all the drama that golf has to offer. See you in the next video.